Now for a really good story. Among the inspiring stories that we've aired on the SABC news channel this year is the trial and tribulations and success of a University of Johannesburg mechanical engineering student, Sam Mangena, who struggled with his studies in 2015 and lost his bursary and university residence. But determined to qualify, he roamed the streets collecting recyclables, built a shack for shelter and studied by candlelight. His graduation was today. He joins us now together with our reporter Maageketla Mohlabe. Thanks very much for joining us. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Congratulations and well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's been a long journey, hard one at times. How does it feel?
I'm feeling so good, you know. I feel like I'm a Superman today because I'm just been honored for the hard work that I did.
Wow. No, you are Superman because you've really come up against the odds. But Maageketla, let's start with you because in many ways this is where the story began.
Yeah.
How did you find Sam? And the story just took off after that.
Yeah, I remember, thanks so much, Peter. I remember it was early 2018, I think around February, when I was assigned to a story in Boyson's informal settlement. There was a protest there, service delivery protest. And then when we arrived there, of course, we did our routine work, interviewing everyone, including the elderly who were actually protesting there for service delivery. And then as I was doing those interviews, then I got this guy. He just came to me. He said that, listen, I'm a UJ student, but never mind about me. All I want is to see these elderly people here getting better housing. But then he then told me his story about how he actually collects plastic during, the breaks of his classes. And then he told me that he failed in 2014. He failed some of his subjects, and then as a result, he lost his residence, and then he lost a bursary, and obviously he was then kicked out of the residence. So instead of giving up, he then decided to build a shack on his own so that he can have a shelter over his head, while in the middle of collecting these plastics, he then attends classes. Then I found it that, well, why not? This should be something that we should tell the public about. But of course, not forgetting that he's not the only one. This actually mirrors the survival or the hardship rather, that a lot of students are going through on a daily basis.
All right, so your journalist instincts kicked in, and then the story broke. But then a social media tsunami happened. Tell us about that, and then we'll get to Sam.
Of course, social media activism. I think we really need to give credit to social media activism, because if it wasn't for that, I mean, we wouldn't have seen a lot of donors that actually opened their hearts and pockets to come and help this gentleman. On the other side, the University of Johannesburg as well, they did come to us to say, listen, let this guy get out of this shack. We're going to give him some private accommodation. They did that. They also gave him 2 meals per day, I understand. So I think it was some sort of a story that changed his life, considering the conditions that he found himself in.
What a story it was. Let's find out how it did change your life, Sam. When these donations started coming through, I'm sure you must have been surprised, because when you first approached Sam, it wasn't even about yourself. You were more concerned about other people.
Yeah, since the story was aired on air, I got surprised, and I never thought it can reach to the mile that it reached now. Everyone was there to support my educational side, and also giving gift in terms of food, in terms of clothes to wear, and also pocket money for schools and others. And also they were buying me books. And AMSCO came to rescue and gave me a bursary, and they paid my fees, and they did everything for me. And I think even now I'm still with them. I'm gonna reach higher level.
And I guess what's most inspiring about your story is that you didn't give up. Despite your situation, How difficult was it? Just give us a sense, because all we can see is a picture of a shack, but you needed food, you needed to study, and do all of these things at the same time.
You know, Peter, if you want to be successful, you need to work hard. Every day, like we are born from poor background, and the poverty will always chase you every day. You wake up not knowing what to eat the next day, you know. So when I'm sitting down alone, I have to think and rethink, how will I survive in this kind of situation, you know. What I've realized that I can't go out and commit crime. I have to go and study and get something to better my life, and also motivate people out there to see what I've done, and they can copy what I've done and do more.
All right, so today you graduated, and this story was about a year ago, so you've worked hard this past year. What's next? What does the future hold?
I think by next week I'll be going for a security interview with AMSCO, and then they'll take me to Cape Town, and I'll be working with military staff.
My goodness, so you'll have a uniform and everything.
Yeah.
So, Maageketla, I guess his is a typical story. Yeah. Sadly, his is one of few success stories that come through. Yeah. The others just fall in between the cracks.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, when I spoke to the officials from UJ today, they did indicate that in as much as the government is trying to help a lot of students with the NSFAS bursary, but then there is this called or the so-called missing middle students. These are the students that are, well, the way they are defined is students that actually belong to public servants, and therefore they cannot afford university fees, and they cannot, on the other side, get loans from the banks. So what the UJ officials said is that really it clearly shows that these missing middle students are still experiencing a lot of problems. They're still experiencing a lot of trouble in terms of going to class on empty stomach. Also, sanitary pads. And I think, of course, NSFAS on the other side, I remember they did indicate that there will be assisted NSFAS students. But according to UJ officials, they're saying that a lot needs to be done. And of course, they are calling on partners to actually come on board to intervene, because on a daily basis, they see a lot of sad faces in these lecture rooms, and they're hoping that some intervention can actually come through quickly. It's a sad state of affairs. They hope that government on the other side will actually bring more parties so that they can intervene. But as you mentioned, Sam's story mirrors a lot of students in the country, and as UJ mentioned, more intervention really needs to be shown.
So Sam, you were blessed by all this generosity, but you still had to push through and finish. And I guess once you'd received this support, you were even more determined to make sure that you got through to today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Peter, every day when I wake up, I have that mind of saying, you know what, the day will never, must not rise and set without doing something that will motivate another person or bring something on the table in order for me to survive. You see. So what I've realized is that if you don't believe in yourself and have a desire for something, you won't go anywhere. But I have a belief that everyone out there who wanna reach their goal can work hard. Even they go in a worse situation, they can make it through.
Wow. And
determination is the best.
So for the students that you must have seen around you that were struggling, what do you say to them now to encourage them to carry on?
What I can say to them, keep the spear burning. Never give up, guys. It didn't start with you, and it will never start with you. And even the next generation will face some other problem, but they must never quit, because the quitter never win.
So we've been debating things like fees must fall, NSFAS funding and bursaries. just how difficult, explain it to people who don't understand, how difficult is it to study when you're worrying about food, worrying about accommodation and so on and so forth?
Yeah, as you know, Peter, if you're using your mind, you need to have energy. And once there's no energy in your body, your mind will be limited. You won't be able to think think out of the box. So now I hear and I see that NEFSAS is giving money, and through the account they can be able to buy things for themselves and be able to go and study. Peter, it's hard. At my time in UJ, NEFSAS was not giving us food. They could pay for my fees and my rest and for books only. And I'm from a single parent family, and my mom, she's getting a grant, and we have other sisters, and they have to go and get something from the same grant, you see.
Wow.
And that thing pushed me to be strong. And
so you're the first graduate in the family?
Oh no, my sister
graduated. She also graduated?
Yeah, she graduated. Wow. And the other one is still in college.
So it's a great story, hopefully, for the families that follow.
Yeah.
Maageketla, one of the most moving stories that you've had to do?
Absolutely, one of the moving stories I've had to do. But again, I have to emphasize, I think social media activism always wins. I've seen a lot of people really come on board and encouraging other students as well to never give up, like Sam did.
All right. Well, thanks so much for bringing his plight to our attention, and for you to fulfill the promise that you had, having been given the support, because I think you serve as an inspiration for many who might be losing hope. Thanks so much, and congratulations, and well done.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
Lord. Thanks to SABC.